assures us of the most appropriate price entry point. Now really we don't care when the right person sees it, we only care that the right person sees it, correct? Okay, here's very important dialogue, and I have used this many times with sellers. You see, we really can't control when the right person sees it, we only control if they see it. And it is the responsibility of my marketing department to ensure that every buyer who's looking for a home like yours in this neighborhood sees your home. That's my responsibility, and I will deliver on that. What I don't control is when they see it. We don't control when they show up, when their company transfers them in, when they're free to come from Pearland and start looking for homes in Kingwood. I don't control that. I just control that when they get in searching mode, they're going to see your home and they're going to see it presented beautifully. So have that conversation and you'll minimize some of the seller's remorse. All right, let's move into stage 4. 31, mutual expectations. So we had the pricing conversation. Before we get too far away from that, again, I just go in with those comps. I do not do the instant CMA. Does anybody do that? Where you actually go in and adjust for condition, paint color, yard size.
I adjust for the basic stuff, and then when I get inside, I have a price range.
Yeah. I think if in most neighborhoods there are enough homes with the same number of beds, baths, and year-built range that it's typically, in my opinion, unnecessary to go through the CMA process on HAR, where you basically become an appraiser and start adding dollar adjustments to each of the comparable homes. To me, it's going to put you in a great position to justify your recommendation, but I don't think it's necessary. I've never found it to be necessary. Going through this process, I've never had a seller push back and say, I don't understand. They get it. So if you like doing that, I think it's wonderful. I just think it's probably more than necessary. Okay? But some people go above and beyond. Differentiate. Okay, so here we go. Once the price entry point's been determined, you can set the boundaries for a win-win working relationship. So here's the transitional phrase. Let's switch gears for a moment. Now that we've agreed on a price entry point, there's one more area we need to cover. It's been my experience, this is one of our core beliefs, conflict only arises when expectations differ. Wouldn't you agree? Great. With that in mind, let me share with you what I feel I have the right, that you have the right to expect from me in my role as your selling consultant. As you can see, my pledge to you is as follows. And there is a sample back in the back of this. I think it's the back, it might be the next page. It is the next page. Look at the next page with me, page 32. Here we have the my role. I'm going to treat all parties honestly. I'm always going to ensure a win-win relationship. I'm going to respect your time, needs, and finances, and so on. A couple years ago, when I first started doing this, I actually printed out a my role and a your role, and I customized them for what I was actually doing. That would be a great thing for you to do as well, to have this mutual expectations conversation. But I'll share with you something I just started recently that satisfies this concern, but does it in a little bit more lighthearted way. Because I used to literally bring 2 copies of both and have everybody sign everything. Okay? Here's what you can expect from me, sign it. Here's what I can expect from you, everybody sign. I recently came up with the 10 commandments for sellers. We're in Texas, we can do the 10 commandments down here. Okay? Thou shalt, and that's literally how I word it. And I put it on, looks like, scroll paper with, like the 10 commandments came down from Mount Sinai. Thou shalt maintain thy home in show condition at all times. Okay? Thou shalt not permit anyone into thy home who has not been scheduled through centralized showing service and approved in advance by thyself. I.e. anybody knocking on the door at 6:30 at night, hey, got the family, we want to come in and look around with, no, not going to happen. By the way, everything on my 10 commandments is a result of actual seller experience. So there's a reason these are here. Thou shalt leave the home for all showings. That was a recent one I had. Got feedback from the buyer's agent. Hey, did you know they were having a family reunion in there when we showed up? And they were. Not just the family, it was grandma and the grandpa and the aunts and the uncles and the cousins. And they didn't leave. They didn't feel like it was necessary to leave. So now, conflict only arises when expectations differ, so I set the expectation, and so on. So I brought a copy if anybody wants to see it, but to me, that's a fun way to have that conversation that doesn't feel so much like a contract, sign here. But anyways, we personalize it, but here's a way to do it. Now, at the bottom of page 32, you have your marketing and promotion plan, and this is part of what you're delivering. What they can expect from you is to deliver on a marketing plan, so you walk through it there. You can put that in writing, which I would encourage you to do, and I'll share with you how I do it. I've put together a personal brochure about myself, kind of like my personal story, experience, credentials, reviews, etc. Then on the back, I have my marketing plan. And this one is a year old. It's a little out of date. I've changed a lot of what I do in marketing now, but some of it's the same. I don't go through all 14 points, but what I say is, one of my roles in this relationship, a key role, is to market your property so that every potential buyer sees your home and sees it presented beautifully. And to do that, I have developed a total exposure plan which guarantees that happens. It's got 14 points. Let me just share a couple with you, and then I'm going to leave this with you so that you can read it at your leisure. And then I usually make some joke about, you're going to love hearing my life story. You're going to start tucking this under your pillow at night. It's going to be so much fun. Just have some fun with it. But I always get a good response to this. People love seeing your story and your experience and credentials and your reviews in a nice professional format, and then having your marketing plan in front of them. Okay, so I did this as a result of this and have gotten excellente results with it. Okay, so agree on the marketing plan. After reviewing my marketing plan, my 14-point total exposure plan, do you feel your home will be well exposed and promoted? Is there anything in this plan that concerns you or that you would like to change? On Sunday, the guy didn't want my beautiful white aluminum sign in the front yard. Okay, fantastic. We'll take that out of the plan. Others might not want a just listed campaign to the neighborhood. Maybe they don't want their neighbors to really focus on the fact that they're going through a divorce and selling their house. That would just be rubbing their nose in it. So just ask them, is there anything here you don't care for? A surprisingly number of sellers have privacy concerns. I heard this from another one recently. As soon as his house went pending, you know what he wanted me to do? Put the home in withdrawn status. Like, I can't do that. But he just did not want anybody knowing that his home was or had been on the market. So some people are just super sensitive. To the extent that you can satisfy them, do, but you need to know if that's an issue. Transition dialogue. Now, since this is going to be a partnership, let me share with you what I feel I have a right to expect from you in this relationship, and that's when you pull out the Your Role listing tool, and that's when I do the 10 commandments for sellers. Here's what I'm expecting of you. Here's your part. That's when we have fun with that. If you don't have something like this in your business, I would encourage you, use this as a template and draft something. Nobody else is doing that. It's really going to differentiate you, and I'm telling you what, it's going to save you a lot of trouble when your sellers get cantankerous in their expectations of you, or they're not maybe they're not approving showings. They agreed to make their home available. That was one of your expectations. Reasonable hours with appropriate notice, and then you keep getting CSS notifications that they declined showings. Oh my goodness, you've got a great reason to follow up with them. Now, you remember our conversation that I'm going to expose your property, people are going to find it, they're going to want to see it, but then you've got to cooperate by keeping your home in show condition and available with appropriate notice. Okay? Verify value. Once you've finished reviewing the expectations of each role, you must gain agreement Remember, engage, deliver message, gain agreement, so that you and the seller are on the same page. So do you think we've clearly defined our roles and expectation? Yeah, I think we have. Do you think they're fair? Yeah, I think they are. Is there anything else that should be included on the list? Probably not. You probably overwhelmed them with more stuff than they ever thought of to begin with. But if so, give them an opportunity. Hey, do you see value in what I do? Or if this is a FSBO, expired, or competitive situation, do you see more value in me than what you're hearing from other realtors? Yeah, I think so. Well, then after our conversation, I feel like we have the makings of a what? A win-win relationship, okay? Hey, do you feel like I can handle the job of selling your home? Yes. Well, great then, let's move ahead. And that's your close. And you just go ahead and pull out the listing agreement. You deal with any issues or questions that they have. I think it's a good practice to send them a PDF of the listing agreement in advance so they've had an opportunity to review it and mark up any questions that they might want to ask. Otherwise, they may hesitate right then to sign a multi-page legal contract. I do the same thing with buyers, by the way. Send them the offer contract in advance before you go showing. So they've had an opportunity to review it and you can clear up any issues because you don't want any hesitation. When you find that perfect home, you want them ready to go to make an offer. Okay? Now, what happens if you've done everything right? They've agreed, roles, expectations, pricing, marketing plan, and they're like, oh gosh, we just don't like to make decisions quick. Okay? We need to think about it, pray about it, sleep on it. What do you do then? What do you do then? Pray together. There you go. Let's join hands. You're going to take care of this right now, okay? You need to talk to somebody? Let's call them. Let's get them on the phone. Let's get Aunt Mabel on the phone. That's right. That's right. It's not my first time praying about a house. Let's get it going, okay? If all else fails, here's some dialogue. We call it the momentum close, and it just kind of keeps you in the game, keeps the ball rolling. Here it is. Well, let's at least do this. Since we're here together, let's complete the listing agreement. And really the only thing that should be left to put in at this point would be signatures. Because when you walked in, everything was complete except for the price and the signatures. And you've already put the price in. Okay, let's complete the listing agreement, and I'll leave it with you. If you decide you're ready to put the home on the market, when you wake up tomorrow, call me and I'll pick it up immediately. This way we don't waste any more time than is necessary in getting your home exposed. How does that sound? Okay, so it just sets an expectation that we're moving forward. Okay, unless, divine intervention occurs overnight. Okay, and an angel shows up and tells you not to sell the home. All right, page 37. This is a summary of everything that we just went through. Everything from the pre-conversation activities, asking the pre-listing questions, all the way down to close to the listing agreement. This is a get-focused tool. So for example, when we talked about getting on the listing channel before you go up and ring the doorbell, what does that mean when you're sitting at the curb around the corner waiting for the moment? Perhaps you're reviewing this page right here. You're just going through the 25 steps that are about to happen in this conversation. So you're just getting on channel, getting your mind in the same place as your body. So then we have the supplemental materials that we have been referring to throughout the class. You're going to need a folder, and for the stuff that you do carry in, your tangible backing for your assertions. This is my folder. I just tuck the stuff right in here. And I actually brought a sample of what I put in there. I said I don't take a 85 or 40 page document with me. I typically don't even take the listing agreement because we're doing that in DocuSign unless I'm just taking a blank copy. Or they're not real comfortable with technology, then I'll take in a hard copy. But just within this folder, I'll tuck in our CMA sheets. I'll tuck in the HCAD or MCAD printout on their home. And I tell you what, almost every time this comes into play. You know what the issue is almost always, as it was last night?
It's always wrong. Yeah, it's price.
Yes, that's right. The assessed or appraised value are typically off. But the issue that I see coming up consistently is square footage. Last night, again, my sellers told me, yeah, we added 40 square feet when we built in this additional utility room. That put us over 2,000 square feet. You know what's going through my mind? I've got the HCAD printout right here.
Please, Bob Warnick, call the front desk, please.
And it says that your home is 1,765 square feet. Adding 40 square feet just gets us to 1,800, not 2,000. So we had a conversation. I didn't say anything about that because this came up on the home tour. But when we got back down to the pricing discussion, that square footage became extremely relevant, didn't it? Do you know where the seller had gotten that idea that his home was now over 2,000 square feet? He had a memory that it was on the survey that they got when they bought the property. Fortunately, he had the file. We pulled up the survey. It wasn't there. Fortunately, he had the MLS printout from when they bought the home in 2005, and guess what it said on square footage? 1,765. So it was a moment of truth. It's like, okay, I guess I picked that up from somewhere. So now we were able to have a realistic pricing conversation. So I go in with that. The other thing I take in with me are the printouts from har.com, the listing distribution chart, and then the same thing from your RE/MAX Lead Street website, the RE/MAX listing syndication chart. This is not on Main Street. It's actually when you log into Lead Street on the home page, there's a blue navigation bar on the right. It's the third button down, and I think it says listing syndication or listing distribution chart. And I use both because HAR doesn't have quite as many, but it's got some different ones. It's got cron.com, it's got the Galveston Daily News, it's got your HAR broker and agent websites, and then I supplement that with what RE/MAX is doing, just in case I'm in competition or they're thinking about asking somebody else. We're also going to put you on the Wall Street Journal. We're going to put you on oodle.com. We're going to put you on hgtvfrontdoor.com. And oh, by the way, you're also going to be on global.remax.com, which is going to present your property in 24 different languages and 36 different currencies. So somebody sitting in their home in China or Dubai or London can see your home in their language and their denomination, in their currency. So that's how, but that's really it. That's all I carry in, and that has proven to be effective. Okay, pretty straightforward. I don't bamboozle them with a bunch of stuff. Okay, so there we have it, the listing conversation class with a special emphasis on pricing. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm in the middle of an issue.
Yeah.
It's difficult to mold. What it is the situation is difficult to mold. It's EFIS. So EFIS is a stucco, and it's a version like a synthetic stucco.
Yes.
And the problem is a legal problem, and that lenders will not lend to buyers with this problem unless it's fixed.
Yes.
So the seller is very emotional about this home. Husband built it, he passed away.
Okay.
She's moving. It's a whole issue of not only the pride in the home, but it's also the fact that I'm trying to protect her from knowing there's EFIS, and if she sells the home without disclosing it, of course she's going to disclose it, but she's trying to make a decision on, do I sell the home at a discount?
Yes.
Or do I sell the house and say, okay, at the end of the day, let them do the inspection, let them figure it all out, and then come back to me with I'm going to repair this home for X amount of dollars, $20,000, $30,000, whatever it is, in repair of the entire outside of the home, if necessary. So we're in the middle of that.
Yes.
Which causes major issues. On top of that, she had a lot on the side that she sold separately, but was in the taxes for the tax appraisal for the entire home.
Okay.
Now is separate. So this is a big mess.
Yes.
Of stuff. And I'm trying to price this home realistically.
Yes.
And even not realistically, and a little higher than that, as a guess of this is about where we are. How does that sound so far? Not even diving in all away.
Yeah.
She is saying we're way off base.
Yes.
And it's just a nightmare because it probably should be a good 30,000 below what I'm even saying.
Yeah. So keep in mind, you are the consultant.
Right.
She's the decision maker. Your role is to give her all the information that she needs to make an informed decision. When you've done that, here's what it's going to cost to fix the stucco. Here's the fact that no lender is going to lend on this property unless that problem is fixed. We also know that 95% of all buyers are going to need lender financing. So essentially, if we don't fix this problem, we cannot sell your home. We can't do it. And we're going to have to disclose it because we know about it. So now we're in a position of legal liability. If for some reason we didn't disclose it, the buyer's inspector is going to find it, and then we're going to have to deal with it, and there's going to be a loss of trust and a loss of time and a loss of money dealing with that. So my counsel to you, having provided all this information, is that we get it fixed. And if she's not willing to get it fixed, I would be willing to walk away, because it is going to be a nightmare scenario full of all types of legal complications and a time drain on you. So you're the consultant, she's the decision maker. If she doesn't make the right decision that leads to a win-win, I would walk away.
She's actually getting, it's just difficult when you get a stucco company to come inspect for $795.
Yes.
She's like, I don't even care about this even.
Right.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
It's difficult to communicate that to someone that not only their husband built the house
Right.
with his own hands. It's a beautiful home, but it's like trying to.
Yeah. You just blame other people and entities. Yep, we live in a swamp.
Yeah.
What can you say? You're not the first. I've had so many clients go through this same thing. I understand how you feel. It's awful. Unfortunately, it is a fact of life.
Yeah.
I wish those lenders would loan on it, but they won't.
I'm hoping that I'm not the bearer of bad news. She splits away from me, hires somebody else, and that other person tells her the exact same thing.
Yes.
I'm already done with her.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to keep happening, and I keep telling her that is going to, not only am I going to be, or someone else, another agent will be saying the same thing, but
Right.
also another buyer will be saying the same thing and wanting her.
And they will.
Yeah.
So just tell her the truth as gently and professionally as possible. That will serve you whether you have to walk away or whether you get the listing. You're going to be fine.
Does she have the funds to do it now?
I don't, well, I mean, she could, but it would be all the money she's just got for her land that she just bought and split away from it, probably. I'm assuming it's gonna cost probably $30,000 to $40,000 probably to replace everything, and she might not have to do all of it, so.
So I have a house, right now that has an overlay roof, and so I've told my sellers, you can't sell it with an overlay, you're gonna have to put a new roof on, but let's do this, let's be upfront and let's tell everyone, yes, it's an overlay,